Hello, my name is Allie McReynolds, and this video is for my 80 ED 520 class through Western Kentucky University. And I'm going to give you an overview of a lesson for working with adult learners on an abstract concept. My core concept is that multiple learning styles exist and that we all learn in different ways, as simple as that. Then my supporting concepts are that not only does everyone learn in different ways and acquire knowledge in different ways, but that you should be familiar with your own learning style and your preferred instructional methods, the ways to learn that work best for you, and that you should also be able to utilize those in any learning situation and maybe adapt them to a particular learning situation. So that's my core concept and my supporting concepts. And now I'm going to give you the outline of the activity to work with students regarding these concepts. The introduction would be the first part of my lesson. And in that part of the lesson, I would have students visualize a time in their lives when they've been in a learning situation and they felt like that they were the only person there who was not getting it. You know, they look around and they see everybody around them is having a light bulb moment and they're not having it, and the frustration that comes with that. So I want them to think back to a time, because most everybody has experienced that, unfortunately. I myself would probably use a math example because those are some of the clearest memories in my mind of me feeling like I am the only person who does not understand this. So I'll give them a little coaching and a little guiding to hopefully remember a time like that. And then I want to ask him a series of questions about why that might have occurred. Questions like, you know, we know the reason that you weren't getting it is not because you're dumb and not because you're stupid. So what other factors could have been at play? Was it something about the instructor? What about the instructor? Was it something about the learning environment? Was it something about a group of peers that you were learning alongside? What about them was causing them to understand and you not? Just questions along those lines to kind of guide them towards someone revealing that the reasoning behind it is that everyone learns in a different way and that their particular learning style might not have been represented that day. And that's why they were struggling with the concept. So once we have set up this introduction and we've done some inductive work to refer back to Vella's 4 I's, to kind of tie in that existing knowledge and those existing experiences, then I'm going to set up the first activity. And that is for them to go online and complete a learning styles assessment. And let me get the website name really quickly here. That's actually on edutopia.org, and it's the Multiple Intelligences Learning Style Quiz. So it is based off of Gardner's Multiple Intelligences. So it's not a long online assessment. I think it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to complete. So students will do that in class. And once they get their results and they identify one of those learning styles that it matches them up with, I'm going to have them go ahead and go out online and do a quick search and find out some more information about that particular intelligence or learning style so that they understand a little bit more about the characteristics of someone who learns best in that particular category. So once they have done that, then I will divide them into small groups, and I want them to take their results and I want them to compare and contrast it to how they know they learn best and don't learn best based on experience. So usually at this point you're going to get some reactions like, I am not linguistic, and no, I'm not spatial, this thing doesn't know what it's talking about. And so this is a really good time for them to talk with their group members about why they don't fit that category, and if they're being honest, maybe some ways that they do. So they're going to do some comparison and some contrasting. They're going to use some analysis to really evaluate the result that they got on the assessment and kind of come up with a list of ways that they fit it and ways that they don't. Okay, the next part of the activity, after they have done the discussion in their small groups with the comparing and the contrasting, then they are going to create, and this is going to be done individually, but they're going to create a learner profile. And this learner profile is going to be something that they can take with them to any educational setting, and it's going to be kind of a resource tool for them. It's going to list the ways that they learn best, just as a reminder for them, and it's also going to list some ideas for adapting a learning setting that is not their preference to be more beneficial to them so that they can maximize it, even if the instructor maybe does not teach in the style that works best for them. Because let's face it, we all encounter that. So it's helpful to have a means to adapt any learning situation to be more conducive to our individual learning styles. So that creating that learner profile, and I envision it maybe even as like a bookmark that they could create so that they could take it with them from class to class if they're a community college student, or just refer back to it, like I said, in any educational setting. And I do have an example of that I have prepared. So, for example, let's say that I took the learning profile assessment and I scored verbal linguistic. And the main characteristics of that are that you learn best by listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Well, let's say I hate reading and I don't like writing. I'm not very good at it. Just those two are not correct for me. So I'm going to say, well, I'm not linguistic. But then we still have the listening and the speaking, or the more verbal side of it. And I'm like, well, you know what? That is me, actually. Because when I hear information, I can take that in and really remember it and connect to it. And then when I'm talking with people, that's how I really synthesize things and how learning takes place in my brain. So yeah, I fit part of that category, but definitely not the reading and the writing. So that's based on my learning profile assessment. And then I'm also going to pull in my past experiences. Well, I know from past experiences that my college classes that were lectures were horrible. I did terribly in them. I hated those classes. And also anything where I just had to take a lot of notes, just didn't get much out of that at all. However, when I was put into class discussions and I got to participate in the discussion, I really retained that information. Smaller groups were better for me because I felt more comfortable opening up and taking part in the conversation, which is always going to result in better learning for most people. And then also projects. It really doesn't mention projects in verbal linguistic, but I was good at hands-on. I remember that any kind of project where I got to manipulate materials, I usually did much better on those than my papers. So all of this taken together is going to give me my learner profile, and I'm going to compile this information. And then also I'm going to think about those classes that I didn't do well in, those learning situations that weren't good for me, and how that I can adapt those. For example, the lecture class. If it's a class that's solely lecture, pretty much all lecture, then I can form study groups outside of class, and that'll give me my small group setting for discussion, and that's how I'm going to learn better. Also, if I have to write a paper, because that's a part of college if you're a college student, then I can edit those orally maybe, since hearing something usually sinks in more to me than reading it. I can read my paper out loud, or even have a friend read it out loud to me, and that'll help me edit and proofread it. So all of these would go into my learner profile, and that is just an example of one of the learner profiles that students who take part in this activity would create. So hopefully the example helps bring it all home. Again, the core concept for this activity is that there are multiple intelligences. We all learn in different ways, and that's okay. The supporting concepts are that you should be familiar with your own learner profile, and you should be able to utilize it in a variety of settings and adapt it even to settings that aren't in your preferred instructional method. And this is a very experiential, not hands-on in the traditional sense, but it puts the burden of learning with the student instead of just the teacher lecturing to the student. They are really taking this content and making it their own and making it very authentic and practical so that they can use it in the real world. Thank you.